Bethany Cosentino, A Natural Disaster, album review. Let's chat about it. Hey friends, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning, here tonight to chat about this debut solo album from Miss Bethany Cosentino of Best Coast fame. Many years ago, she won my heart over as one half of Best Coast with one of my favorite debut albums of all time, with Crazy For You. And a lot of the reason that I fell in love with that album, not only was it the sunny surf rock vibes, but I thought that Bethany was just an awesome front woman. I loved her vocals, I loved her performances, I loved everything about her. But over the years, starting with their follow-up album, The Only Place, my love for Best Coast started to falter a little, and by the time I was getting to their later albums like Always Tomorrow, California Nights as well, I was just stunned by the sharp decline in the music. And one thing that I did kind of like still about the band, even though they very clearly had no intention of keeping up the sort of sunny surf rock sound of their debut, was Bethany's vocals and her performances. I always did love her as a front woman. So when I heard that she put Best Coast on indefinite hiatus and was going out to do a solo album, I absolutely wanted to check it out. Not only that, but I thought a lot of the singles leading up to this album were actually some of her better songs in quite some time. Let's chat about it. This album starts off with its title track, Natural Disaster, and you know what? There ain't a damn thing wrong with this track. No, this is actually a really great opening cut. I just love this as a title track. It's got this very throwback 90s singer-songwriter vibe that I think that Bethany does really well. It's passionate, it's sweet, it's got a lot of personality to it, and it's pretty damn personable as well. And that hook that we get here, yeah, it's a good one. As a matter of fact, I'll go out and say it, a lot of the best material on this album is better than anything on like the last 3 Best Coast albums. I have a lot of the same thoughts on Out of Time. This is a very breezy, upbeat, sort of, once again, very throwback singer-songwriter track with a little bit of old country mixed in. We get a lot of that here. And man, I'm actually stunned by just how much heart is on display on a track like this. Where was this on like the last 2 Best Coast albums? And that big sing-along jam of a hook, watch that. And that big sing-along hook of a chorus, like, come on. I'll take all that you got. This is a great feel-good jam. I have a lot of the same feelings on It's Fine. This is one of the best tracks here. A lot of the singles leading up to this album actually got my hopes up quite a bit. This is a much more stripped down alt-country ballad just about how Bethany has changed and grown over the years. It's deeply personal, it cuts deep, and honestly, her passionate performance continues to be on display. And while it's pretty damn emotional, it's also, once again, very sunny and just feel good. I hear this, I'm impressed, I have to salute her. And A Single Day is so incredibly charming. The bulk of this track is just Bethany and her acoustic guitar. And yes, we get some percussion that pops in. But this is one of the most intimate moments on this album. And every time this chorus rolls around, I just want to sing it out. Yeah, there are a handful of really great tracks on this album, and this may be the best one. Also, I really do love My Own City. For now, songwriting is a major strength of this album. I love how driven and, once again, passionate this track is. And listen, you can argue, and you would be 100% correct. This album here, it's a little straightforward. A lot of these songs are. But there is a simplicity to this album, and tracks like this that just bring me back to a simpler time in my life. I love this. My real issue with this album is A, Bethany does not keep this pace up, and B, when this album is bad, it is borderline some of the worst rock I've heard all year. Like, take, for example, Easy. This track spirals out of control so fast. This ballad is so cheesy, and I love me a big cheesy ballad. I don't even hate the tear-soaked country vibes of this track. They're fine. They're actually done really well. It's the songwriting and the performance here. It was not cooked to order, guys, and my God, some of the one-liners here are rough. She's just better than this. We've heard it on so many other tracks here. For a Moment is not much better. Like I said, I don't completely hate Bethany going for this alt-country, very emotional singer-songwriter vibe. She pulls it off really well at times, but it's just such a slippery slope. Like, there's plenty of heartfelt and passionate moments on this album, and then we get this. What happened to the songwriting here? This is awful. Real Life is not much better. I actually really thought I would love hearing her on a sort of rustic, broken down alt-country tune. But these lyrics, we've hit the very bottom of the barrel. Some of these one-liners, they are fucking abysmal. I said this album was a slippery slope, but this is one of the worst tracks I've heard all year. I mean, yeah, the heart, it's here, but we've reached the point of no return. Hope You're Happy Now is just a little too light and fluffy for me. I mean, God, I don't mind some of her more stripped down tracks, but this is really rough. And the lyrics, they're just not cutting it anymore. And the chorus, I mean, it's not that bad. It's actually pretty good, but it does come off like a cover in a weird way. I don't know. I'm burnt out, honestly. Like, there's a lot of great material on this album, but the material that sucks is really, really, really bad. And as a finale, I've got news for you. Yeah, I've certainly got news for you. This is the worst track here, and it's not by a slim margin. This track is awful. I mean, a piano ballad from Bethany doesn't sound bad on paper, but this is like pulling teeth. This is so bland and sad and passionless. I mean, she was on the right track when this album started, but like, this is bottom of the barrel as a finale. I think it's the worst track here. That being said, though, I would still rather listen to this album than like the last 3 Best Coast albums. Calling on Angels, this track is awesome. Once again, this sort of alternative country leaning track, and guess what? When it's done right, it's done so right, and this track is awesome. It's got a sort of rugged riff, like there's some grit to this track, and I love the chorus. It may be a little bit cheesy for y'all, and if it is, I do understand that, but I think she makes up for it with passion and heart. It's also far from the worst sin committed here, trust me. And it's a journey. As far as a true blue, nothing fancy ballad goes, look no further. Her vocals here are some of her most passionate, I would say the most beautiful vocal performance of this whole album. Between that and a very lush backdrop of plucked guitars and some nice strings, this track is gorgeous. And I will say this once again, lyrically, it's a little straightforward, but this whole album is, you might like it, you might not. This album's a toughie because for a while, Bethany was belting out some of her best tracks since the early days of her band Best Coast, and, you know, done with some passion, some really personal lyrics, some really great throwback singer-songwriter, alternative country vibes. There's a lot to like here. The only problem is the very steep cliff that we are on, because this thing is a slippery freaking slope. When this album gets bad, it gets literally unlistenable and some of the worst rock I've heard all year. But there is enough to like here that I just think that you should check it out. Just don't be surprised when you reach the halfway point and realize it doesn't hold up. For now, sadly, I'm feeling a strong 5 on this album. Let me know what you all think down below. If you like the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, friends.